Welcome on in, guys. Tobin here with you. Thanks for checking out the channel. Everybody's had a fantastic weekend out there. Happy Father's Day to all the dads who tune into this little shindig over here. If you guys haven't subscribed, I'll give you a Father's Day present, right? Just subscribe. If you and I feel like every time there's a video, it's like a little Father's. You always remember, oh yeah, it's a Father's Day present from old Tobes. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed your weekend. Interesting sighting this weekend in the Heat world as Bam Adebayo was taking in an Aces Liberty game. And who was he sitting courtside by? Well, he was Heat hobnobbing, because Bam, probably the Heat's number one recruiter, was sitting courtside with last year's summer theme, Damian Lillard. And you had to, it was hard not to think with these two sitting there, what was being bantied about this entire game. You know, maybe they were talking shop. Maybe they were talking, about just the game going on there at the time. Maybe they were saying, hey, look, we ended up next to, because it wasn't just Damian Lillard. This was a crew that we had sitting courtside. We had LeBron James, Savannah James, Rich Paul sitting next to Dame Dollar and Bam. And so Bam, I'm sure just peeking up, just like, hey, psst, 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 psst. Hey, Rich. Reunion? What's he want to do? What are we talking about here, baby? You don't think that Bam was just sitting here trying to see if, just put some feelers out, just see what's what, see what the king and the queen want to, reminisce about from their glory days down in Miami. Do they want to talk about that, or are they sticking in? All the signs seem to point that he's staying in LA. Udonis Haslam has said that. Dan Hurley on his media circuit this week made it seem they're interviewing JJ Redick this weekend. So maybe he's not making any moves there. But you had to imagine that Bam and Dame, two very good friends sitting there, had to be thinking to themselves. And Dame, who was at the Gervonta Davis fight last night, enjoying his time in Las Vegas. My God, I mean, Jesus, Gervonta Davis, what a showman, what a talent he is. I thought Frank Martin was fighting a good fight, but there's just something about these behemoths in the second half of these fights. You can't mess with them. You can only play the games to stay safe and rack up rounds for so long. Man, that was an obliteration by Gervonta Davis against Frank Martin. Well done by him. He's been on an absolute tear his last 4 fights. I digress. Anyway, Damian Lillard, who was in Vegas to watch the fights, he's sitting there with Bam, and you have to wonder what talks there have been, because even in the mess that was last year, when we all thought Damian Lillard for sure was going to end up on the Miami Heat. Bam thought that he was going to end up on the Miami Heat. I think everybody thought Damian Lillard was going to end up on the Miami Heat. The question is, are there enough breadcrumbs? Are there enough avenues to go back and kick the tires again? People sit here, and maybe people are like, oh, Damian Lillard is not not what he was. This is not a guy that you want to, get into the game with, because at his age, his contract, we're already talking being unwilling to give Jimmy his contract. Now you want to go give Damian Lillard and deal with what he's dealing with, on top of the fact that he is going into this year. He'll be 34 next month, and he's in the midst of a giant contract where he's going to make, what do we got here? He's going to make $48 million this season. So do you really want to get into the game like that? And I got to tell you, I could be swayed. Now, must be said, I love Damian Lillard. I wanted Damian. I couldn't have dreamt up a better whale scenario last year for the Miami Heat. And I think that any Heat fan right now is probably thinking to himself, no, if I'm going to go after anybody, Donovan Mitchell's number one. And I would get it. Donovan Mitchell is younger. Maybe you think he can make more of an impact right now. But I got to tell you, if you told me that if Dame went to Doc Rivers and the parties would be over in Milwaukee, be like, hey, we did this for a year. You know I didn't want to be here. Let's bygones be bygones, huh? Let's move on to a new direction, because you just have to wonder, did Bam ever go to him in the midst of this? He goes, well, if you don't like it so much, why don't you just tell him? Like, this isn't going to be the same thing as last year. You're not a franchise icon. Now, would Milwaukee deal Dame to Miami? Completely different question. Although they already have to be sick to their stomach because they're watching Drew Holiday's about to hoist a trophy, so they could be thinking, damage is done with this, and maybe trading Damian Lillard would very much anger Giannis Antetokounmpo and seeing where he's at with everything. But like, I'm looking at this video yesterday, he's like, Bam's talking shop, and you got Dame there standing around, and he's probably he goes, so what did Giannis say to you last year? And he goes, well, he had this thing where he said, the season wasn't a failure, it was a step to success. And he goes, he's right. He said that again. He said that after we beat him. That's crazy. Yeah, he doesn't really think that failure is a thing. I don't really mess with it. Bam's thinking to himself, well, listen, we believe in failure a lot. You should come on down here. We believe in accountability, failure. Get away from this Giannis who's like, failure's not a thing. Get the hell away from him, Dame. That's what you got to be thinking to yourself. But who knows? They're going, and they got this star little duo thinking to themselves what could have been. It was painful to see that for sure for Heat fans. But you have to wonder if we could circle the wagons one more time. Could that become something? Could the Miami Heat go into this off season, and could Damian Lillard look at this whispering, Dame, make a stink for real this time, though, not like last time where you were like, you kind of made a stink and then you chickened out. Like, make a real nasty stink this time. All right, because that's what's gonna have to happen. And because the years were what they were, what kind of haul would Milwaukee expect for him? Is it going to be looked upon less than, more than, with what the Cleveland Cavaliers are going to expect for a Donovan Mitchell? Interesting. I don't know. Interesting times to look at this. But Damian Lillard has $50 million this year, just under 50 this year, 54 about the year after that, and then almost $60 million in his year 36 season, which, look, there was reports that the Heat were maybe a little apprehensive with that as well in this whole Damian Lillard chase. I thought it was crazy. But if that's the case, and that they're already going into a summer where they're a little apprehensive about giving Jimmy Butler his money, maybe this is a well the Heat don't want to go back to, that they do want to go with somebody a little bit younger in Donovan Mitchell and somebody who is Bam's age. But it's hard to just ignore that this weekend, man. I'm sorry. It is. It's hard for me to just look at this, sit idly by, and just be like, so we're just going to ignore the fact of everything that just went on this past summer, and this guy spent his time, admittedly, miserable in Milwaukee, knowing that he was going through some personal stuff. Not saying that he's got any personal stuff against Giannis Antetokounmpo, but it's not where he wanted to be. It's not where he wanted to be. Wanted to be in Miami. He can sit here and he can say, well, I thought I was going to have a chance to win the championship. Well, you didn't. What do you know? Yet again, Giannis Antetokounmpo couldn't stay healthy in the first round. And now Damian Lillard is sitting to himself, everybody's going to be kicking themselves this summer thinking who's going to team up to go and take on the Boston Celtics? What are going to be the combinations for these teams that are finally going to see Boston raise the championship whenever that does happen, whether it's next game or the game 6 or even if it gets to a game 7. Most likely, never happen. Anybody's blown a 3-0 lead. When does it happen? And what do the teams do to go about and compete against this so they can so they feel like they can take them down. So I don't know. I would say it's not the most likely thing that's on the table because of all the drama that was with last year. But you know the relationship between the two of them. You can't completely rule it out, I feel like. I don't feel like it can completely be dismissed that the Heat go back to this well yet again. But we'll see.